I moved back because I saw a day like this. So Kenyans are not against the altar. Stop twisting the message and threatening people. Kenyans are against the altar being used. And the preacher should be wise. He should have at least done it secretly, but don't urinate on Kenyans. That's number one.
In a thought-provoking message that has captured the attention of many, Pastor John C. W. has issued a calm yet profound counsel to pastors across the country, urging them to reflect on their roles and the impact of their actions on the Kenyan people. His words, delivered with sincerity and humility, appear to be subtle response to recent controversies surrounding church leaders, notably Bishop MWAI, who has reportedly received 20 million Kenya shillings and another pledge of 100 million Kenya shillings from President Ruto.
Concerning what is happening in relation to, I don't know if the young children have gone to strike today, not to strike, to visit people. We need to explain this, and please hear me. I'm careful with my words. Kenyans are not against the altar. I want you to hear me. Kenyans are not against what? I'm not talking about heathens. Heathens who are Kosa. Heathens are against, they're even against themselves. So those ones, I'm not talking to them. I'm talking about Kenyans. Whatever that is happening, they are not fighting the altar. So you cannot come and say, this, if you come here, you die. Die where? They will come. I will tell you what Kenyans are against. Because before such a thing happens, is it true? Are you listening? You know, I'm talking to the world, so you might not even be, it might not even be you, but people are listening. You know, people listen. Hallelujah. Kenyans are not against the altar. In fact, they don't even want to fight the church. But notice, they are triggered. There has to be a trigger. They will not say they are visiting someone if they are not triggered. Kenyans are very amazing people. But unaona, ukichokoza nyuki inauma. Wewe pia wewe. Me and you came from the same school. Group of schools ayesema kuuma. Even me, I was saying kuuma. It will bite you. Itakunyonga. Itakufinya. How do you say it? Itakude. Jehovah, help your servant. Kizungu. So if you play with a bee, the bee gonna sting you. You got what? Kizungu ya mapua. English of the nose. The bee will sting you. But the question is, the fact that the bee responded, whose fault is it? Is it the bee's fault? Or you should have known better? Pastors in Kenya, please study the season to know what to do, and you do it not. What is that called? So when you know that if I do this to this person, he will respond in this way, and then you go ahead and do it, what have you done? Say it. Nimi naonwa, don't worry. Say it. You have sinned. At this particular season, Kenya is in a very, very critical space. So you that knows that if I participate in this, it's going to trigger, and you continue and participate, what have you done? What have you done? You have sinned. So it's not about pastors coming together and holding a conference. It's not about who says it. It's about having wisdom to display God. At this particular season, to know what to do and you don't do it. So you cannot you cannot put grace on an errand it was not designed for. It's like you are saying, I have grace to be a prostitute. Grace cannot make you a prostitute. Do you understand? So a lot of us, we know what to do. We know that if I do ABCD, it's going to bring problems to the church. knowing where the church is and how the people are blaming us, and you still go ahead and receive such things, and especially publicly. It's like urinating on Kenyans. So then the Kenyans come and then they sting you. Then you are beginning to say Kenyans are they don't honor the altar. No, God won't strike them. He will strike you, because you knew that if this thing is done public, at least have the courtesy of privatizing it. Why did you tell us? So you just go, the two of you. It's you that has the problem. Some wisdom. But urinating on Kenyans, you are the one that came and said there should be no giving. Is it true? How, then all of a sudden you are against your even king that did not want to kill John. The king that did not want to kill John had to kill him because his word had done what? Unfortunately, today as leaders, we don't value our word. The same person that sets apart will not walk in it. It's like God saying, I am the way. Now do you understand why the Bible says, I did not come to take away what? The law. But to do what? To fulfill it. Because God is the one that set it. He's the one that gave Moses. He cannot just come and say, Jalishi. No. Those people are right to say that we caught her in the act, so we must stone her. Jesus brought a superior wisdom. He did not tell them, don't stone her. Notice he did not say no. What he did is that he brought superior wisdom. And he says, anyone that is without sin. He did not tell them, no, you are wrong. They were not wrong wanting to stone that woman. It was written. So Jesus does not go against his word. Now look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, learn to keep your word. Learn to keep your word. A man is his word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. But unfortunately, today's leaders, they don't know how to keep their word. They are the same ones calling each other Waganga. All of a sudden, Muganga is your wife now. And it will always happen when there is individual benefit in display. Is it true? And then you will claim that you are uniting people. No. You only need people to unite people. So to the leaders of the church, please understand that to know what to do and you don't do is a sin. This is not the season to damage more the perspective of people. What a shame that I see that the church is now guarded by the same cars that many are fearing that they are being used to abduct people. Now they are guarding us. Coffins are now guarding us. Just because there is no wisdom to put God on display. It's not that Kenyans are fighting giving, but in this season, I spoke about 1.3 trillion. How many church pastors came out and spoke about it? But you can't speak about that because you see, it's according to you, it's not the church problem. It's such a minute way for you to think you can only participate when it's an offering. It's such a minute approach to life that a pastor can only stand when he's defending his altar. You can't stand to defend the people. Kenyans are not against the altar. But in this particular season, to know, therefore, to him who knows to do good, good is done and does not do it, it is a sin. As anointed as you are, let us stop making. They already don't believe us. You know how many, do you know the heat I've gone through as a preacher? I don't know if there is any preacher that has gone through that heat. If I wanted anything, you know that I will not be speaking the way I'm speaking. But I speak this way because, number one, even when before the problem began, when the leaders were darlings, I took nothing. And I say it publicly. I moved back because I saw a day like this. So Kenyans are not against the altar. Stop twisting the message and threatening people. Kenyans are against the altar being used. And the preacher should be wise. You should have at least done it secretly, but don't urinate on Kenyans. That's number one. This is a message to the church. Do things honorably. Even though it is good, even though have an honorable way of doing it. Be honorable. Let the few that abuse you for being right. Because Kenyans themselves will see. No one is against people giving to the altar. Let me ask you a question. Before the whole issue started in June, like way before, when the leaders were darlings, were they not giving in the church? Answer me. Were Kenyans against it? So please, preacher, let the preachers understand. You can't come and then you are trying to use scriptures. Be afraid of the altar. Which altar? This is not the altar. You can't. God does not live in a house built by the hands of men. You stop that. Offer your body as a living sacrifice. Your body is the temple, the altar of God. And those altars are being killed. That's what we should be against. But it's such a shame that ministers of the gospel will just rise, and instead of addressing the lack of wisdom to display something. I've watched what has been happening from June. Once the unity came, now the agenda was how to use that unity to break people into different tribes. So the second thing that came into that is leaders. The third thing I've been watching is now tribalism. Now the fourth thing is now the church against the church. So if Satan has managed to get to the church, where is the hope of this nation? That the church cannot just understand simple wisdom. Even now as I'm ministering, someone who will rise to protect Papa, as if your Papa owns heaven. Have I ever told any one of you to protect me? You don't need to. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And then others will use age. You say, that young boy, he just came into ministry. You did not read about Micah and the old prophet? The same Bible you are preaching, you don't read about it? So we are sparking people, and then when they sting us, we are saying that God will kill them. God will not kill them. In fact, you might be shocked. Kenyans might be doing more of God's work than preachers. The altar is not that part of the church where you have lifted before others. That cannot be the altar. That's a stage that hosts the altar. The altar is who is standing at the present time. I am the altar now. This is just a stage. This is just a place that we have lifted to be able to see you better. But the one that is standing there to minister is superior to where he is standing. Let us not put the nation in unnecessary turmoil so that you can kill people. To know what to do and you don't do. Remember, it is what? To know that I should have done this thing a better way. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. There is a way right now I can say this teaching, but I can say it in such a way that it's not good. So that's why I'm trying to balance my words. Ephesians 6, that's to the church. Don't misuse grace. Stop stinging people and stop provoking the people, and then when they finally sting, you are demonizing them, and then you are calling God from heaven to ban them. To ban them where? You'll be shocked, he might ban you. What are people really fighting for? I was expecting that the church will put it on display. And then you call only people that speak your language, because we that don't speak the language, oh, you know, you are part of them, so what? God was part of the election of Saul. Is it true? God did not know that Saul is a bad person? Why put him in power? God, are you telling me God did not know that Saul was a bad, the all-knowing God? Why did God tell Samuel, go and anoint Saul? It's God that chose Saul. Though Saul was not God's will, he was still God's what? Choice. Look at the difference. And it should be even superior to know that I am now against something I'm part of. Not because of anything. I took nothing. I would have kept quiet like other people too and eaten. Is it true? Kwani mimi sina tumbo? Don't I have a project too? How many of them, after me helping them, ever have come to help my project? Here we do projects single-handedly. Spirit TV single-handedly. Auditorium single-handedly. Now, have you noticed anything? Who has a wedding? Have you noticed anything? You got a son? Have you known Sam? Have you seen something? Hata hamwezi kucongratulate surely. Unatembea tu hapo ukifinya vitu.
Pastor John C.W. message serves as a reminder that pastors and religious leaders should hold a unique responsibility to their congregations and the larger society. He emphasized that the Kenyan public does not need to witness extravagant display of wealth or financial donations like those made by President William Ruto to believe in the integrity of their leaders. His counsel resonates deeply, especially in the time when citizens are calling for transparency and ethical leadership. The pastor's counsel underscores the importance of leaders embracing values of humility, service, and accountability. With many Kenyans feeling the strain of economic hardship, Pastor John C.W.'s words could not have come at a more crucial time. His advice is a call to action for church leaders to reconsider how their financial decisions and public actions affect their congregations and the broader community. Pastors and church leaders across the Kenya would do well to reflect on this powerful message, as it highlights a crucial need for leadership that prioritizes the welfare of the people over material gain. As the nation continues to grapple with complex challenges, the counsel of Pastor John C.W. offers a much-needed reminder of the true essence of leadership, service, humility, and above all, integrity. This is Stephen, GCNews.